Hey, Brian.
Hi, Haley. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. And you?
I'm great. I'm in the process of publishing my new book on being gay and gray, and I'm self-publishing through Kindle. It's my 13th book, um, which it's pretty cool,
I think it's really cool. 13
Yeah,
is a great, great number. I love the number 13.
and it's a good book. I've been everybody who's read it has really liked it. So, the ones that I sent the manuscript to. So, and that may be contributing to my difficulty sleeping. Uh, but, we just had an election, and I can't help be concerned about the direction of the country. And yet I keep reminding myself I'm not in charge. I can only be in control of my own life, my own space, my own sphere of influence, and that's where I need to focus my attention. But it's really hard not to get frustrated with the decision making of other people. What motivates their voting, and it's
It's
a challenge.
yeah, and I think we're going into a very interesting period for the US and for humanity, but I think the US is really leading here. It's obviously time for the US. So we have a lot going on. Obviously, today's a new moon. We have an eclipse coming, I think, on the 19th or the 17th. Coming pretty soon. We have an eclipse.
Yeah.
And then we're also having a lot of interesting things happen and really starting to focus on where the US is in the grand scheme of things, the higher perspective, and what is happening in the US, and that shift of power, the shift of globalization, which the US has been the forefront of, but is it going to continue to be there?
Yeah.
And I think if you're looking at the news, and I think if you're keeping up with current events, every day is a shaky day. How do you not get triggered?
And how do you not get triggered? That's a really good question. How do you avoid it? I mean, there are certain things that I do, like we don't watch the news or listen to voices telling us why things happen, because in my experience, they're often wrong. Right. And they'll come back later and say, oh, we misread that. So I don't pin a lot of, it's not hope. I don't put a lot of confidence in what's being said. I read every morning lots of things, and I try to figure out what's going on and then move on, because I don't want to spend my day. I didn't spend the day worrying about what was going to happen in the election, but I was disappointed in the election in Virginia, just because so many of these people who are being elected are social conservatives. I don't care that if they are, financial conservatives. I mean, Ray and I have to be conservative financially, but socially conservative. The fixation on transgender kids in locker rooms, it's insane. Why a political party would focus so much of attention on that, and also on the what kids are being taught in school. They're all they're objecting to kids being taught about racism, and I get discouraged about that. On the other hand, we've had long battles, haven't we, Haley, in terms of creating wisdom around oppressed minorities, women. I mean, women aren't a minority; they're actually a majority, but they have a glass ceiling that keeps them from really being in charge. Yeah. So, but so tell me, because I have something else I want to talk about. So tell me first how you are feeling. What's going on with you?
I really don't. I have pretty much done an embargo on media, and very conscious of social media, what I'm allowing into my space. I do keep up with what's going on, and I have a little bit of a different perspective. I actually get a great deal of hope with these conversations being spoken about and really pushed into the news consistently, because I think the time that we're in right now is really just pulling the lid off things that have been happening for so long, and everybody's been burying their heads in the sand. You know, is it just happening now that transgender kids are being bullied? No, we're just hearing about it, and good. I'm glad we're hearing about it. I'm glad that people, it's in their face. And even though the media may be spinning it one way, the majority of people are now getting to see and getting to hopefully question, what if that was my kid?
Uh-huh.
So I do get incredibly hopeful with it. You know, it's not pleasant. It sucks. It sucks that it's going on. It sucks that it's been going on forever. But I am hopeful that now we're literally ripping the Band-Aid off and we're saying, look at this. And we need, I think, sometimes these extremists, whether they're on one side of the extreme or the other side of the extreme, to really get people triggered and riled up, so people are forced to think about it and really forced to confront this question of what is okay. What is equality?
What do you, and I hear what you're saying, and I think you're right. I really do believe there's wisdom there. One of the things that concerns me is that 30% of Republican voters think that violence is necessary to change the course of the country. What do you think about that?
I don't think it's just Republican voters. I think if you went and did the same poll with the same pool of Democratic voters, with the same pool of independent voters, you would probably see the same thing, because
you didn't. They did the same questions with independents and Democrats, and it was much lower than.
It was much lower, but the fact of the point here is that there are people in this world and in the US that believe that violence is the answer. And again, we're not going to get away from it. We need to look at it and be like, okay, where is violence in our society, and where does it belong, and why is it here? You know, these are all points that we get to really sit with ourselves and really ask the question, okay, if this person believes in violence, where am I with that? Why am I having that belief? You know, really, Krishnamurti has this wonderful dialogue where he says, disturb me deeply, so that I may inquire within and come out better, clearer.
Mm-hmm.
And
the title of my first book was A Disturbed Peace.
Yeah, and I think we're in that space of being disturbed deeply, where we're having to question very internally, very uniquely and personally, what is the truth? What am I going to listen to? Where am I going to get my information from? Is the information I'm getting true? So I think, you know, my experience of these polls is that they're biased, and that it's a very select group of people that want to be a part of those polls, and it's the same people every single time. So I'm just like, where's, you know, we need context when we look at those polls. I think, you know, the fact that we're going to put the label on and say it's Republicans, it doesn't matter. It's the fact of the matter that there are people in this country that believe violence is the answer. They've reached the point of such fear that for them, their only way out is violence.
And what got them to that point of fear?
What got them to that point?
A lot of it is misinformation.
And there's so much misinformation. You know, well, it's an interesting word, misinformation. I think it's only misinformation when you do something with it. It's always just information. We always have the choice to do with it whatever we want to do with it. And for me, at least, whenever there's information that comes into my world, my first question is, what's the context and is it true? I think if we would ask that question, what is the context? A lot of what we think is misinformation would just be like, that's not the right information for me. I need more information, or I need different information.
But you're a critical thinker, and not everybody is a critical
I mean,
thinker.
I think there too, should we be concerned about violence, or should we be more concerned with more than 30% of the population doesn't think for themselves, have really got complacent with conforming? When we have more people questioning conformity, we can have 30% of the country thinking that or 30% of the Republicans thinking that they want violence. But if we have more people questioning conformity, those 30% just stays as a thought. It doesn't actually turn into something.
Uh-huh. So can we segue?
Let's segue.
I think that's a really good discussion. And to sum it up, if I can, just to what I heard you saying is that despite the fear that I and others might have about what's going on, it's forcing all of us to take a look at a deeper level at the issues behind our fear.
Yeah. And I think it's a lot of humans suffer, and a lot of humans suffer every day. And I think we're being forced to take responsibility for every time we turn a blind eye to it.
Yeah, they're family members. They are family members, whether we like it or not. But Hayley, so just segueing, we can come back to it if you want, but and I wrote about this when it happened, but the other night, I got up and middle of the night, went to pee and eat a clementine. And I very clearly heard a voice, not audible, but a message that said, stop worrying about the answers. You are great where you are right now. You've done really good work, right? You know as much as you need to know about me right now, meaning God, higher power. It's time to go have fun. It's time to play. I don't want you to keep questioning, reading. You've done a great job with all the work you've put into it. Now go have fun, be happy. Be happy peeing, be happy eating a clementine, be happy the next day. And I thought, I hadn't even been thinking about it. I had been thinking when I went to bed about, gee, where am I on this journey?
And let me ponder over my clementine.
it just came. And so I did write about it, and I got a lot of positive response from people saying that they resonated with the message that, when it's time again for me to go deeper, I'll know it. But right now, I can't know any more than I do right now.
Exactly.
I can practice what I know, but there was this big emphasis on be happy. And it's been a long time since I've been happy. A really long time, because I'm a troubleshooter. I solve problems. I comfort, and you comfort the afflicted, basically, right? And to be silly, and there are a handful of people that I can be silly with, but this message sort of said to me, no, you got to be sillier with more people. You have to, get up and dance. Go, laugh more. And so I printed a Meyer Baba's quote, which is, don't worry, be happy, do good, and leave the results to God. What do you think about that?
A lot.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to see where to start. I think if we
You
go
have a
macro,
you have a magnificent smile.
thank you.
It fills the screen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is part of the joy of being present. And it is that very, what you're talking about is enough. Just go be. And the whole point of this is joy. The whole point of all of this is fun. Stop looking for reasons to say that you can't be in fun. Stop looking for reasons that you can't be in joy, because there's never going to be a better and there's never going to be a worse moment than right now. So be in the joy. And I think where a lot of us who are open to this are getting those kind of messages where we're really being pushed to be present. And I think being present is the new love. It's the new love frequency. Every time we're present and every time we're in joy, we're in love.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing that can disturb that. We were just talking about like disturb me deeply. Oh, are you there, Brian?
Yeah, I am. Sorry.
Oh,
sorry.
There you go.
It was a call, and I don't know even where my phone is, but I had to stop.
Disturb me deeply. We're only disturbed when we're seeking to fix something or figure out something or try and find a place of when this is at this point, then I'll be happy. The if-when statements. And I think a lot of us are really being pushed that have done a lot of understanding of self and trying to get the information in terms of how do I get to joy? How do I be better and be in joy? I think we're getting the message now. It's enough now. You need to actually be it.
Yes. Don't wait. When you started commenting, you said there'll never be a better time. There'll never be a worse time than the moment. But I imagine much worse times. Ray dying, I imagine. That'd be much worse than today. Where there's nothing.
Do you really know that?
Do I know what?
Do you really know that is going to be the actual truth of a future event?
No, I'm only speculating.
You're only speculating because as you're sitting in your present time, you're thinking of Ray being alive right now, which he obviously is.
Yes.
And imagine right now not having Ray. That's not true. Ray's there right now. Be in joy with it.
Right.
Appreciate it. Be in that space of the past is over there, the future's over there. I'm here right now. This is enlightenment, is being fully present, to be in the beauty of the moment, to be around the people and really enjoying them, so that when they go, you're not sitting there missing all of the time you could have had, or I should have done this so I could have hung out with them. It's like, nah, I made the best of the time I had with them.
That's, yeah. We can sabotage our happiness by anticipating problems.
Yeah, and I think for me, humility comes in there.
How so?
Because if I'm concerned about the past or the future, I'm basically stepping out of the truth of who I am and saying that I have the power to know and determine and demand that this is how things are going to go. I don't have that power. I think only God has that power, or Mother Earth has that power. So I think a little bit of humility and, dude, I'm just one of billions. Every single one of us has an idea of how we would like it to turn out. What would be the best case scenario and what would be the worst case scenario? Right now in this moment, I can choose which one I'm going to focus on.
Uh-huh.
And then I'm going to relax. I've put That's the future I'm going for right now. I'm going to start building that future. I think if we have so many people focusing on the worst case scenario, that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, it'll create itself.
It
Right.
will, you know, that's ultimate self-sabotage.
Mm-hmm. I've been watching, as many people have during COVID, a lot of movies, and watching how British colonialism impacted India in one film, and Ireland, and Australia. I just watched a film about how the Aboriginal people were slaughtered. And what it says to me is that these things, you know, we're one of many, many generations, and hopefully there'll be many more after us. And every person in every generation has had to struggle with these feelings, and most without guidance, most without the ability to, you know, to talk to somebody about it, because their days were so filled with the need to produce, to but I can't do anything about that. I can't do anything about. I can only handle the present.
And I think, coming back to why so many people are getting that message to be present and to be in joy right now is because that is you actually doing something about it. If you're in this frequency of joy, if I'm in this frequency of joy, if Ray's in this frequency of joy, and your circle of influence is in this frequency of joy, that uplifts everyone.
Mm-hmm.
The more
it does.
people that are in that place of being present, and the best I can do right now is to be the best version of me, which is joy and love. You're being of service to those things that you thought you had to physically do something about. But I think we're moving very much into, again, a responsible world where it's be responsible and accountable for not just your physical actions, but your emotions, your mental state, your spiritual state, and the impact that that has around you, and how it can impact so much further than you think. There's a wonderful saying, the butterfly effect, how a butterfly flapping its wings in San Francisco causes an earthquake in Japan.
Mm.
It's just one little butterfly. And it doesn't have to be an earthquake, but I think that saying really demonstrates how one person being in joy can really make such an impact.
Or one person being in suffering.
I agree. One person being in fear and one person sitting there going like, I have to go and stockpile weapons because they're coming to take my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Equal effect.
Yes. Yeah, it is.
Equal power, I should say. Equal power, different effect.
So we're trying to counteract each other. I am really encouraged by the numbers of people that I'm aware of around the world who are very serious about their spiritual development and are committed to be living in the moment.
Yeah.
You know, using the same words we are, or not, but describing the same issues, the same challenges. That really inspires me, that we're not alone.
It is truly inspiring, and I think that is where my little well of hope. So every time I get a little shaky or I get triggered, I really go into that well of hope, and I'm like, okay, look at what's really happening in your world right now, and look at all of these people. Everybody's looking. Everybody in my world is mostly seeking for, how do I get to joy? This isn't working right now. How do I get closer to that place of balance and harmony? And I think that's a lot of the truth that's in front of us now too, just as you're saying.
Uh-huh. And what you tell them?
Ages.
What do you say to them?
A lot of time I just say, breathe, learn to breathe. That's sort of my
Because,
number one sort of tool that I offer everybody.
well,
Start
I'm
to
aware,
breathe.
I'm often aware I'm not breathing. You know, I have a consciousness. You're not breathing. You
Yeah,
know, you need to breathe and breathe deeply, you
breathe
know.
deeply. And I think, one of the things that I've learned is that every time we inhale, it's not just oxygen. It is the universe. It is everything that we're made of, and it is creation. So really, have some level of, or a perception, I suppose, of the magnanimity of breathing. You're breathing in the universe. Once it comes into your body, which is a universe in itself, all these other universes, your cells, are enjoying that inhale. And every time you breathe out, you're breathing out the universe and you're putting it into the bigger universe. I think, like, it's just, for me, it's just one of those moments where I'm just like, wow, wow. Like, this is how wonderful we are.
Do you, Hayley, feel that you live in joy?
I predominantly, yes. I'm not going to lie to you and say that I'm enjoying all the time. There are moments where it sucks. And I have to really get myself back up to joy.
What triggers the sucks?
Not believing in myself.
Well, the
When
reason
somebody says something to me and it makes me question my abilities, or it makes me question my beliefs.
and how do you process that? What do you do with that?
Exactly, as we were talking about earlier, Krishnamurti, it's a reminder of disturb me deeply so I can inquire within and come out better. So I'm very much more, I've noticed on my journey, I'm much more accepting of the moments that I'm not in joy, because they lead to being in joy more often. So it's almost like, depending on your perspective of this, you can be in joy and have a few dips, short dips, or you can flip it and be in that place of ick,
Mm-hmm.
where the moments of joy are few and far between.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we ever get away from the moments of not being in joy. I think we need them as part of growth, as part of making sure that we're letting go and that we're truly being present and truly, focusing on what it is that we want. So I don't know if we ever get away from the dips.
And we have the great fortune of living with the guidance of generations before us who have given us tools.
Really, they have. It's very interesting that you say that, because a lot of the people that I'm learning from now, they're now dead. They were huge in like the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, and their recordings are super like scratchy. And, again, it's just a moment of such deep gratitude and admiration that we have access to that elder wisdom.
For everything there is a season. That's profound. Because it affirms for you that things come and they go.
And I think it's helpful to remember
there's a time for everything.
There is
sorrow,
and timing is divine timing. You can't mess with timing. You can't mess with the order of it.
Right. But you can understand that things pass.
Things pass.
And that there is a time to be sad. And when you're sad, you shouldn't beat yourself up for not being joyful.
Enjoy it.
feel the
Truth
sadness.
is, you can't be in joy while you're sad. I know it sounds like a contradiction, but I would hope that we get to the point where we allow every one of our emotions to be a positive experience. They're all important, equally important.
That we learn from.
We learn from, and they really help us to get clear on what we want and the world that we're trying to create and the kind of person that we're trying to be. And I wanted to add there that just as humans have this, ups and downs, so do countries. Everything is on a cyclical way.
And everything passes.
Everything's moving. We always have a choice in terms of which direction do you want to move in.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Who do you want to be? We're offered that every single moment of the day and night.
How old were you when you left Zimbabwe?
18.
And did you leave on your own?
Yeah.
And what made you leave?
College.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you knew you wanted to leave the country in order to go to college?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and I knew at a very early age that I was going to college in the US.
You did.
Mm-hmm.
And where did you go?
In Texas, the University of North Texas.
Okay. And why there? How did you even know about that when you were a kid in Zimbabwe?
Well, I was born in Texas. Zimbabwe had speaking of colonialism, they gained independence from Britain in the 70s and 1980s, sort of when it all closed up. And during that time, my father's side of the family immigrated to the US. And so I was born there with the intention that my parents would be staying there rather than going back to Zimbabwe, but they actually went back to Zimbabwe. So I had the US citizenship, I kept it. And it was just always, I can get into the US, so I'm going to college in the US. And so my father's family were all in Texas, and that's how I ended up at the University of North Texas.
Okay. So I'm thinking, and I'm leaving the moment to do it. But I think a lot of us think about, well, where would we live if we, if the worst thing happened here, where would we go?
Yeah.
But wherever you go, pardon me?
It's a great question.
Yeah. Because wherever you go, it's not going to be perfect.
It's not going to be perfect. And I think this is, the whole digital nomad thing is incredibly exciting to me, that a lot of countries are really starting to try and cater towards digital nomads and offering, visas that are sort of allowing digital nomads to stay in countries and work in countries rather than either being a tourist or having to get sort of a work permit and all that kind of stuff. And I think that
Hayley, what does that mean?
The digital nomad is a name, a label that is given to people that can work remotely and have chosen to be in different parts of the world for short periods of time. Periods of time. So they're kind of moving around quite a bit, and they'll be in a country for maybe 6 months or a year before they move on to the next country.
And they do it as a source of adventure?
I think it's a source of adventure, yeah. And I think it's a source of experiencing the world.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I think it's, COVID really highlighted this opportunity with everybody working from home.
Mm-hmm.
And COVID really put that opening in front of countries to say, here's a source of income for your country. These people are coming in, they're, while they're there, they are, most of them are, contributing to the community in some way or somehow. And a lot of countries are really opening up their visas for the digital nomads. And I think that allows people to really ask that question, where can I go where I can get through this the best way possible? Is it in this country? Is it in this house? I think it.
And what do you think about that? I mean, you've moved.
I'm
You're
living it.
in Mexico.
Yeah, and I'm eternally grateful that I'm here in Mexico and not in the US.
Are you?
I questioned it. I was
Yeah.
in Mexico. I love Mexico, but it was never on the list of countries I wanted to live in. But yeah, Mexico offers me that separation to be really stable and to really sort of be present in terms of, look where you are. It's not to say that Mexico is perfect and Mexico is better than the US. It's different. And it allows, for where I am on my path right now, it gives me the support that is really beneficial to me being a better human. And again, I have the way that my life has worked out, I have the ability, the opportunity to be able to do this. I'm well aware that some people can't do it. I'm also well aware that some people have picked up family dogs and moved the entire family.
Why?
I think because, I'm assuming, I think because there's an openness to this, there's an openness to experience and knowing different cultures. And then I think life in the US is really tough. It's really hard to find your stability when you're literally asking the question every day, how do I not get triggered today?
Mm-hmm.
So if you have the ability to pick everybody up and move them to a country where it's a little bit different and it supports what you're trying to create, I think that's amazing. And for some people, it may just be a different state, a different city. A lot of people moved out of the big cities and went into, more
Mm-hmm.
less urban areas, I should say.
Right.
Doesn't necessarily have to be a country change. And I think that's one of the wonderful things that has come out of COVID is that we do get to ask that question. Where is the best place for me? Is this the best place for me right now? And once you can accept that, you can go back to joy and be like, best place for me right now. I'm really happy with my surroundings. I'm good.
Yeah, I despite living in a state that is not as progressive because of its leadership as I would like it to be, I love my home. I love the garden. I love the location.
Your home is a sanctuary.
It is. We've created this wonderful space, and I could look at it as a forced downsize and be resentful, or think of it as a gift that I ended up on my feet in this space that we both really love.
It's a beautiful space.
Attitude is everything.
And I think you've created a wonderful space because I came to your house and I was just like, this is like being in a temple.
Mm. Yeah. Wait till you come back.
It's, I think being present allows us to really sit with the gratitude and sit with the acceptance that I know that there's a lot going on. I'm not putting my head in the sand here, but right now, as I am, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let me enjoy this.
That's wisdom.
Isn't it?
It is. It's knowing. For me, it's knowing what your options are, having the wisdom to be aware of what your options are, and choosing one, and living with it with joy.
Yeah. I have a question for you.
Good.
Over the last year, almost 2 years now, what do you think has been the top or the top three wonderful things that have happened during this COVID time for you?
For me personally,
Mm-hmm.
well, having time with Ray and with the garden and the home and the dog, to having the time and the opportunity to focus with gratitude and awe has really been enhanced because, we're not entertaining much. So the perfectionism in me isn't triggered, needing everything to be perfect all the time in case somebody walked in. Letting go of that has been really great. One of the things that and I don't know if it's been through COVID, but I'm aware of my age. Not my age inside. I feel like I could keep going forever and ever, but I look in the mirror and I think, you're old. Look at you. Who is that? Huh? Putting my
Do you
face on a
remember
book.
yourself at a younger age, and like when you look in the mirror, you're like, I should look different? Or is there a level of acceptance for who you look like now?
Now there's a level of acceptance.
Okay.
Now I look at myself and I think, look, you're going to be 74 in January. Even saying that you're going to be 74. 74?
What age, so when you were looking at the mirror, what age did you kind of think you should look like? Was there a specific age or a specific time in your life that you were like, who's this? This is who I
Yeah.
should be. This is what I should look like.
I guess, yeah, I would guess that somewhere in my 40s or 50s. I don't want to be 20 anymore. It's too hard.
It's
20s
too hard. And I think
30s
that's
are
one
hard.
of the wonderful gifts of aging, is
Yeah.
that I look at the 20-year-olds now and I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I'm not 20 right now.
I
I
know.
can't even imagine that level of anxiety that they're having.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the wonderful things that comes with age, is that you're like, I put my 20s to bed.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I'm hoping to communicate in this new book of mine on being gay and gray, is that when you embrace the circle of life, being old isn't a booby prize. It's not a problem. It's actually a gift. Despite the pain and despite the change in appearance, the knowledge that you're not hot, that your picture on a book is not going to sell any copies, but that you are more at peace. You have time to reflect. And it's funny, Hayley, one of the things that's happening for me lately is I'm thinking a lot about my parents, who are gone, and about my grandparents and great aunts and uncles, and how I wished I had asked them to tell me more about their lives. And I'm wanting to pick up the phone and call my mom, or when I walk around the yard and a beautiful orchid is in bloom, I want to have mom see it because she loved him. That's new for me because I'm busy, but I'm not busy like I was traveling the world, giving talks and
Right.
corporations on gay issues. I have fears about the future, but that's more about saying goodbye to Ray or him saying goodbye to me. But that could be in 20 years, 30 years. Who knows?
I know.
Yeah. How are we doing on time?
We're good. We've got lots of, we've got like 10 minutes, but
Okay.
I think it's very interesting, this aging thing, because your book is important. And obviously you're important because you are an elder. And I think people being able to understand better what aging really is. And I think going back to sort of how we all started this is that we're really being triggered to take responsibility for our beliefs. And what we thought was one thing is now, could it be actually something different? And I think this aging is part of that process too. Really starting to understand, what does aging mean? Aging, as you said, doesn't just mean it's a booby prize and you're retired and we forget about you.
Mhm.
It's very vibrant. And
If Hayley, if you change your paradigm from youth and beauty to aging and wisdom, because if you still try to be young and attractive as a young person, you're going to really set yourself up for pain and disappointment. If you say, look, you know what? I had my turn. It's their turn now. It's their turn to be crazy. It's their turn to get drunk. It's their turn to do things that I know I don't want to do anymore. Right. And I have to keep saying to myself, it's their turn. And it's my turn right now to be the best 73-year-old gay man in the US that I can be.
isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
How beautiful. I found myself, I listen to all genres of music. I don't think I've really grown out of any music. You were talking about how you let them be crazy. And I do dance around my house. I think dancing's a vital part of the aging process. And I was thinking to myself, like I was listening to some kind of clubby-ish music. And I was like, oh man, I remember being in a club. And I was like, and I'm so happy not to be in a club and be able to go home and sit on the couch.
Yeah.
It's just like the appreciation and the space that comes with that aging process. You also mentioned that, you're looking at these people from a wonderful, wise 73-year-old body. What do you think the 85-year-olds or the 90-year-olds are saying about you? And you're coming up now, like filling that 70 age. Do you think they look at you and they're like, it's their turn to be that really cool 70-year-old? I do. How much fun.
Well, it depends upon the individual, but I do believe that there are, older people laugh when they think that a 73-year-old would think of himself as old. Oh, you're a kid. Wait till you're 96. And then you're going to talk about yourself being an elder. I'm not going to wait till I'm 96 say that I'm an elder. But I hope what they're saying is he's doing 73 well. He gets it. And he's not one of these guys who is trying to be 30 or 40 or 50 even. I just want to do it well, but I also don't want to do it. I don't want to be who I am with expectations of what that has to look like.
Right.
I want to be.
That's wisdom.
I simply want to be, and if that becomes a model about how other people can find bliss, I'm grateful. But sometimes I'm in the presence of people my age, and they're talking about the same things they talked about when they were 20 years younger, but with disappointment, that they're not running with the dogs
Right.
anymore.
With those that, yeah.
Right. They've lost their influence. I mean, I look at you.
Fascinating thing.
Yeah, Hayley, I look at you and, I don't even know your age. I think you told me and I forget. 40.
I am 40s. I think I'm 42, about to be 43.
When's your birthday?
December 31st.
Oh.
The whole world celebrates my birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't, I really don't. And I was going to ask you this: do you keep track of your number age?
Do I keep track of it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm pretty clear how old I am. I mean, the year I was born pops up real easily, so I just subtract.
I can't even subtract. I need to get my phone, and then I'm like, okay.
No,
it's one of the things that I really haven't kept track of, and I'm trying to remember. I think when I was about 25, 26 is when I was kind of like, I don't know why I'm counting.
And you're 42.
I'm 42.
42. About to be 43?
I think so. Yeah, I think I'm 42.
What year were you born?
78. But you see, I was born at the end of 78.
Right.
So I think I'm in my 42nd year.
Okay. And how does that feel to you?
It's interesting because I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying the maturity that comes with it. And this level of level-headedness that comes with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I look at myself when I was younger, and then I look at myself now and I see that my physical appearance is changing, like my skin is changing, texture. I notice gray hairs. I notice more wrinkles, and I'm just like, holy shit, you're really living, huh? So this is aging. And I see it really just has me like, I can sit in the mirror and look at a wrinkle and just be like, so this is aging, huh?
Yeah. And then it keeps going.
It keeps going, and part of me has some anticipation where I'm just like, I wonder if I can slow down the outward aging process.
And you could try. I mean, oil of Olay or whatever you want to put on your face helps. Sunscreen helps.
Well, I think my mental state really helps too.
Yeah.
And I noticed that a lot of people that have that very sort of, have that life force, that vibrant life force, always look much younger than they really are.
Mm-hmm.
And they, so I think some of us have that going for us, although it has been very interesting being in Mexico, where if I'm in the US or other places, everybody thinks I'm in my 30s. In Mexico, they get my age immediately.
Oh, no kidding.
How do you know? And it's almost like a big, like, it is a vanity thing, because it's always nice to think that people are like, there's no way, I thought you were maybe 35 max.
Uh-huh.
And I get to Mexico and the cab driver's like, so you're like 40 on your own? And I'm like, how do you know I'm 40? Do I look 40? So it's, it's there. And it's an interesting thing, when you start asking that question, which I think would be a wonderful lead-in for our next chat, sort of at what point do we consider, do that aging cutoff, like from now on you're aging.
Mm-hmm. Well,
you're no longer this side of the tracks, you're on this side of the tracks now.
At what age do you become conscious of aging?
And I think society hasn't figured that one out yet, because we keep changing it.
Well, partly it has to do with demographics.
Yeah,
You know,
true. Very true.
baby boomers are such a huge percentage of the population that they're not going to make us deliberately feel bad, because there's a huge amount of money that they're hoping, you know, will continue to flow from this generation. It has a lot of influence, this generation. But I think helping other people age is a wonderful gift.
I think so too.
And learning to celebrate your age with the awareness that it's a gift many people don't ever have. You know, how many men died of AIDS, you know, in their 30s, 20s and 30s?
Yeah.
Never had the opportunity to, you know, never knew about marriage equality, you know, didn't even know that sodomy laws were dropped because, you know, they were so young.
I think we're out of time, but I think this would be a great topic to explore, really the aging and what the aging experience looks like and feels like.
Okay, well, let's do that. You have at least one person who can talk with some authority.
Fine. I'll show up for that combo. Lots of love to you, dear Brian.
Thank you,
we'll
Hayley.
see each other next week.
Thank you, honey. Love you.
Have a great one. Lots of love. Bye.
Bye-bye.